I can mention several more, but brevity of time forced me now to move to the second point, which is the most important thing, genocidal intent. In the definition of the United Nations Convention on Genocide, intent is critical because you can destroy inadvertently and there can be no original intent. Was there an intent to destroy the deportee population? And here they have documentation. And you know what? The documentation comes from the commander-in-chief of the Ottoman Third Army, Vahakn Pasha. Then Mahmud Kamil Pasha finished the genocide between April 1915 and February 1916. He was recalled back to the defense ministry in Istanbul and he was replaced by Vahakn Pasha. And I'm sorry, I'm being signaled to cut short because this is a very important element. Why Vahakn Pasha became commander-in-chief after the genocide was finished. Enver, the commander-in-chief, Enver appointed Vahakn, his classmate, to the Third Army from the very beginning in 1915 February. But Vahakn Shakir, Dr. Nazım and Talat prevailed upon Enver, saying, we want Mahmud Kamil Pasha instead of Vahakn Shakir. And Enver yielded. And it was Mahmud Kamil Pasha, General Mahmud Kamil Pasha, who organized and implemented the genocide of the Armenians in the eastern provinces of Turkey. The bulk of the Armenian population was destroyed in the command zone of the Third Army under the supervision of Mahmud Kamil Pasha. And when he finished, Vahakn Pasha was appointed. And Vahakn Pasha prepared the report on December 11, 1918 for the court-martial, in which he uses exactly the same word. He says the deportation and massacre of the Armenians was centrally organized by the Central Committee of the Young Turk Ottoman Party. And he uses the very important Turkish word, which is intention, kasten. He says the Armenians were murdered kasten, by prior deliberation, and hükümetin tahtı altında, under the supervision of the government. Ladies and gentlemen, what more powerful document do you want? A functioning Third Army commander, a Turk of Albanian extraction, prepares a long report saying that there was deliberate intent to destroy and it was the supervision under the supervision of the government. In any event, this is premeditation. Intention, genocide, organization, I don't, because I'm being signaled to cut short, the organization of the Armenian genocide was a very interesting element of the Armenian genocide because it resembles what happens to the Jews in Nazi Germany. The Central Committee Party created special cadres of party functionaries, former military officers who resigned from the military and became three types of functionaries of the party. Katibi Mesul, Murahas, and inspectors, delegates and responsible secretaries were sent to the provinces, to all the centers of deportation massacres, to supervise over the organization and implementation of the genocide. And they had so much power that they could veto the decision of the local provincial governors. For instance, in Trabzon, the Greek bishop interceded with the governor saying that at least the old woman, sick men, children, temporarily exempt from deportation. He was bribed and he agreed. As soon as the representative of the party learned about this, he vetoed the decision. He said all Armenians, without exception, have to be subject to deportation. That was the centrally organized by the party. And finally, the execution. Here, you see something unprecedented in recorded history. The Young Turk Party emptied the main prisons of the Ottoman Empire, creating the most bloodthirsty criminals for massacre duty. In their deliberations, they said that during Abdülhamit region, that many officers, many soldiers were had pity, therefore they spared many people. We want all Armenians destroyed, therefore we need criminals. This was the organization of the 4 parts, implementation, and now I'd like to say a final word in terms of theoretical construction. What do we learn from all this? I think in terms of theoretical contribution, the following points need to be made. Number one, I think the Armenian genocide is not possible to study without studying its antecedents. Because prior to World War I, there were 2 major cycles of genocide, massacre in the Ottoman Empire. 1894, 1896, 100 to 150,000 Armenians were massacred during a period of several days. In 1909, about 23,000 Armenians were massacred in Adana. What happened? None of these cycles of crimes were ever prosecuted, and there was no punishment. My suggestion is that the impunity attending the massacres of 19th century and the massacres of 1909 Adana became a powerful impetus for the organizers of the Turkish Armenian genocide to proceed with the planning, that they escaped punishment before and they felt that once more they will experience impunity. Finally, this is my conclusion, when we single out the most important factor, the determinant in the Armenian genocide, a very interesting feature emerges for attention and study, which resembles what happened to the Jews in Nazi Germany. Namely, not the organs of the central Ottoman government, but the highly mobilized political, monolithic political party who took charge of the government, Youngster Ittihad Party, was this idea of premeditation, organization, and execution. Therefore, if you want to study the Armenian genocide, you have to shift the attention from the organs of the state to the highly sophisticated organization of the Youngster Ittihad Party. Ittihad, the Terakki Party, Central Committee, is absolutely and categorically the main agent of responsibility. And in conclusion, I like to say that if you ask the question, what is the intention or purpose of a genocide, I would say that here genocide emerges not a final end in itself, but as a means to an ultimate end, namely to restructure Ottoman society by transforming a highly heterogeneous society into a more or less homogeneous society that is purged of Christians, Jews, and a more or less monolithic, homogeneous, more or less Islamic society. Thank you.